Are you trying to figure out where to live in Philly with so many different neighborhoods and prices that are really all over the place? It can be very tough to know where you're going to get the best value for your budget. So in this video, I'm going to break down some of the best neighborhoods in Philadelphia from affordable to luxury price point and everything in between, so you can have a much better understanding of what different neighborhoods you should be looking in depending on either your purchase price or your rental price. My name is Marco DiGabriele. I have been selling real estate in Philly for years, and I've helped hundreds of people to find the perfect neighborhood, whether they're buying, renting, or investing. So I know how different each area is, and I know where you'll get the best bang for your buck, or what neighborhoods you should go in if you have a large budget and you have some money to spend. So let's break it down. So in Philly, if you're on a little bit more of a budget and you're looking for a house that I would say is between $200,000 and $400,000 or a rent price under $2,000, you're going to want to look in a few specific neighborhoods. So the first place that I would say that you could look is South Philadelphia. South Philadelphia is a large area that encompasses a lot of different neighborhoods, but there are neighborhoods in South Philly that you can definitely get into for an affordable price point. Namely, I would say Point Breeze, Whitman, Lower Moyamensing, parts of Pennsport. Those are all possibilities for this $200,000 to $400,000 range. Number two would be Port Richmond and Bridesburg. Those are great up and coming neighborhoods. They're close to Fishtown. They're very popular. They have growing commercial strips. And again, you can find pretty good value in these neighborhoods. You can definitely find, your standard two-story Philly townhome for that $200,000 to $400,000 range, depending on how renovated it is. And you can definitely find houses for rent that are under that $2,000 a month price point. Third, I would say West Philly and Cedar Park, as well as Kingsessing, which is more of an up-and-coming area. But West Philly, a lot of the areas of West Philly you can get into for this price point. The only area that really gets a lot more expensive in West Philly is if you're going up more closer to University City. Once you get up into that area, it does get a lot more expensive because obviously all the universities are there and it's very, very highly developed. But otherwise, a lot of the surrounding areas of University City, like Kingsessing, Cedar Park, you can get into for a nice affordable price point. And you do have access to some really nice park space. It's very green and there's a lot of commercial strips. And then finally would be Germantown and Mount Airy. These are areas that are, again, very tree lined, similar to West Philly. They really do have the historic charm. They have the cobblestone streets, and they have a lot of upcoming restaurants and bars. And also a very close vicinity to Chestnut Hill, which has a very thriving commercial strip and is a thriving neighborhood, I would say, that's very expensive. But Germantown and Mount Airy, again, you can get into for that $200,000 to $400,000 price range and that lower rental price. It is more outside of the city, so your commute into the city is going to be a lot longer if you are looking to get into the city. But if you want more of that kind of suburban feel with a little bit more space, those are great neighborhoods to look in. So let's talk about some of the best mid-range neighborhoods. So by mid-range, we're going to talk about neighborhoods where you're really going to be able to get good value between $400,000 to $700,000, and I would say $2,000 to $3,000-ish, maybe a touch more for rent, depending on the size of the property, whether you want parking and things along those lines. So the first neighborhoods that I would mention are Fishtown and Northern Liberties. So Fishtown and Northern Liberties, these can tier actually and teeter closer to the luxury price point because they do have million-dollar properties in these neighborhoods that definitely sell. However, I would say that the $400,000 to $700,000 range in these neighborhoods can get you a really, really nice property, sometimes even new construction, depending on where you are in the neighborhood. And then pushing out from Fishtown, also East Kensington, which is a little bit more up and coming, but has really benefited from the growth that Fishtown has seen. Those are great neighborhoods to be looking in. Keep in mind, these aren't as walkable to Center City. You are going to have to, hop on the L and probably take that subway right into Market Street or Center City if you are using public transportation. Or if not, if you're driving, you're probably going to be a 10 to 15-minute drive from Center City, which isn't a big deal at all. However, it is something to keep in mind if you're working on Market Street or something along those lines. Number two, I would say Fairmount. Fairmount is a very walkable neighborhood. You're close to Fairmount Park, the art museum, which is very nice, but there is a good range of availability in this neighborhood for that $400,000 to $700,000 range. You are pretty walkable into Center City, which is nice. I mean, you do have to cross some major, commercial thoroughfares in order to get to Center City. However, that walk is very doable, and Fairmount does have its own nice commercial strip on Fairmount Ave, which is great for that neighborhood and great for that $400,000 to $700,000 range. And then moving further south, I would say there's two neighborhoods that would want to be on your radar. Number one is East Passyunk. So $400,000 to $700,000 in East Passyunk can get you a very wide range of properties, pretty much all the way from really nice two-story classic Philly townhomes that have been renovated all the way up to newer construction three-story homes. East Passyunk has a great commercial strip in the neighborhood. It's a neighborhood that is really, in my opinion, continuing to grow in popularity, but for that mid-range price range, it's a great place to be looking. And then a little bit farther northwest, you're going to have Grad Hospital. Grad Hospital, I would almost classify at this point as above the mid-range. It's more of a luxury range depending on what you're looking for, but towards the southern portions of the neighborhood, especially, you could definitely find value, and there are properties available for anywhere between $400,000 to $700,000. However, we are starting to see in this neighborhood, because of its vicinity to Rittenhouse Square, there are many properties that are selling for above $1 million at this point, which I would consider to get towards our luxury range in Philly. And so let's talk a little bit about the neighborhoods that have the higher price point properties. These, I would say, are at the very lowest entry point in the neighborhood. You can get in for $700,000 for something that maybe needs work, and then you're going to be well above $1 million for properties that are, pretty much move-in ready, nicely renovated, things along those lines. So number one is Rittenhouse Square. Rittenhouse is our highest end luxury neighborhood in the city. It really is the pulse of the city. All of the development for Center City has kind of surrounded itself and merged out from Rittenhouse Square. So this is where you have the majority of your high rises that have the ultra luxury condos. There are condos in this area that have sold for tens of millions of dollars, and you get pretty much all the bells and whistles. You get concierge services, parking, gym membership, all these crazy amenities in these super high-rise buildings. That's Rittenhouse. You can find townhomes in Rittenhouse, although they are less common, but there are a lot of residential streets. Some of the nicest streets in the city, in my opinion, are in Rittenhouse Square. So you have Delancey, you have Pine Street. These are very lush. They have the classic looking Philly brownstones, and it's an ultra luxury price point neighborhood. But if you're looking to spend over $1 million, it's somewhere that you should definitely be looking. Number two, I would say, is Society Hill. So Society Hill is really going to give you more of the historic charm. It's also, just south of Old City, which you can look in for this price point as well. You have the cobblestone streets. You have really good access to the Delaware riverfront, and the real estate here is pretty expensive. So I would say you do want to have a really nice budget if you're looking in Society Hill, probably over $1 million, although you will find properties for less than that. Especially if you're looking at condos and things along those lines. Number three, I would say Washington Square West and Queen Village. Again, these are really all of your center city neighborhoods that are right in the middle of the city and have a lot of these higher end luxury condo buildings. If you're looking for townhomes, you can find them in these neighborhoods, especially if you go a little bit further south, like Queen Village, where there are a lot of townhomes. But if you're looking at Rittenhouse, Washington Square West, Society Hill, Old City, it's a lot more condo heavy than townhome heavy. And then finally, I would say if you're going to go out more towards the burbs, Chestnut Hill has a really suburban feel. It has a very historic charm. It has a great commercial strip on Germantown Ave, and it has a lot larger homes with pretty good schools out there. That's a high-end luxury neighborhood. The price point there is definitely going to most likely be above $1 million for you. So what are some things to keep in mind before choosing a neighborhood in Philly, dependent on your price point and in line with your budget? So number one, you do want to look at where you need to be within the city. So we talk about it all the time. Philadelphia is a very walkable city and it's pretty transit friendly. However, there are some areas that are more connected into center city than others. So you really do have to be mindful of like where you want to be in the city in vicinity to where you're working. That's just something that you have to consider before really narrowing down on what neighborhood you're going to look in. Number two is lifestyle. Philly is a city of many different neighborhoods with many different vibes and many different feelings. So you're really going to want to figure out, like, do you want more trees? Do you want more nature? Do you want the commercial strips? Do you want it to be more hustle and bustle or more quiet? All of these things will factor in to what neighborhood you end up really narrowing down into based on your price point. And then the third thing I would say is future development. You know, you definitely want to buy in a neighborhood that you feel like either is very stable in its market, where it's like a neighborhood that's strong and that is never going to really see a huge decrease in value, or you want to be investing in those neighborhoods that have a strong potential for future value and future development. So before you narrow down on a neighborhood, you just want to have an understanding of like where you're investing the money and is there that potential for future development, future growth, and stability in that marketplace. So if you've watched this video and you're still not sure where you want to look in Philadelphia, definitely either shoot me an email or drop a comment below. I am happy to help guide you in the right direction, and you can bounce some ideas off me and we can find the right neighborhood for you. If you found this guide helpful, please click the like and subscribe button, and I will see you at the next video.